Alright, so the next thing we need to talk about is the discriminant. So that's going to tell you how many solutions that you're going to get to a particular quadratic equation. Alright, so it's the part that's underneath the square root. Alright, so it's b squared minus 4ac. Right, and depending if you get a positive, negative, or 0, it's going to tell you how many solutions you get. So if you come out with the formula and it's a positive number, that means that the curve is going to intersect the x-axis twice. So you're going to have two solutions, two real solutions. That's the big difference here. And then if you come out to be 0, it's only going to intersect it once. So that would be one real solution. If it's negative, that means it's not going to cross the x-axis at all. And then you have two complex or imaginary solutions. All right. So again, it's part of the square root part of the quadratic formula. So that's why you're getting those different techniques. So it says determine the number and type of solutions to each equation. So I have A is equal to 1. B is equal to negative 6, and C is equal to 10. So I want to do b squared minus 4ac. So I have negative 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 10. So negative 6 squared gives me 36 minus 40, which is negative 4. Which is less than 0. So what does that mean? Right. So you can just say two imaginary solutions. You could have, yeah. Yeah. All right, letter B. What is the value for A here? B is, and C is positive 7. Good. You have b squared minus 4ac. So that again gives me negative 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 7. So I have 36 minus 28. Which is 8. So that means what? Two real solutions, right? Alright, so that equation, that quadratic is going to hit the x-axis twice. And then the last one, you have A is 1. B is negative 6, and C is positive 9. So that's going to give me 36 minus 36, which is that Siri? Quizlet on what? Huh? History. What are you studying? What are you studying? I didn't know that was a moment in history. What is it talking about in chapter 12? I guess that's why we're on Quizlet, right? Okay. Well, good luck with that. Okay, so next sentence says find a possible pair of integer values for A and C so that equation has one real solution, and then write the equation. Okay. So we need to come up with possible values for both A and C so that it's only going to intersect the x-axis one time. All right, so you kind of need to use the discriminant here to kind of help you get that. Now, because we only want one solution, I need to set my discriminant equal to what? 0, right? So anytime the discriminant is equal to 0, you're only going to get one answer. All right? Now, what other piece of information do I know from this equation? Say again? B is what? -4. So I can plug in -4 in for B. B is -4. -4 AC is equal to 0. So that's going to give me 16 minus 4 AC is equal to 0. So if you move the 16 over and then you divide by -4, AC is going to give you what? +4. Right? So what would be two integers that multiply to give you +4? 4 and 1, right? So possible answer could be A is equal to 4 and C is equal to 1. So my equation now is going to be 4x squared minus 4x plus 1 is equal to 0. It could be flipped too, right? So you could do x squared minus 4x plus 4, and that would still give you. I guess they could, but then I kind of feel like then you wouldn't have two different variables. You know what I mean? You would just have one variable instead of. All right, so the next one is the same thing, but now we want to have two solutions. All right, so when you are doing your discriminant and you want to have two solutions, what does it have to come out to be? Positive, right? So this has to be greater than 0. So when you do this, you want to set your discriminant equal to really any positive number, and you're going to get an answer. All right, so that I see that B is what? 3, right? So when I square that, I'm going to get 3 squared minus 4 AC. So I want to set that to really any positive number is going to work. You could do 1, yeah. 1's positive, right? So that's going to give me 9 minus 4 AC is equal to 1. So then if you subtract the 9, you get what? -8. And then if you divide by -4, you get AC is equal to 2. So possible answer would be what? A could be 2, and then C would have to be 1. So you'd have 2x squared plus 3x plus 1 is equal to 0. Not all the time. You could let, you could let A be 1 and C be 2. Like you don't have to do. No, it doesn't have to be. It really just depends on what number you get here. Like if you got 12, you could do like 3 and 4, or 6 and 2. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can always do 1. It just, again, depends on the number that you get. Okay. Last one. All right, so you got a helicopter releasing water on a forest fire. Height y in feet of the water, t seconds after the water is released is modeled by that equation. Horizontal distance between the water and its point of release is modeled by 91t. What horizontal distance from the fire should the pilot start releasing the water in order to hit the target? Okay, so I got my helicopter, right? Then you got fire going on down here. Right? That looks like fire, right? You guys would be scared if you saw that. Okay, so what we're trying to figure out is when can this helicopter start releasing the water, so by the time it gets released, it's going to hit directly right on top of fire. Okay, so we need to kind of figure out the distance here and then the distance here. Yes, I am. Say again? Yeah. Yep, it's on the internet for everyone to know. Hopefully William and Mary ain't watching my YouTube channel. Can you imagine? Aaron, we were watching your math class the other day, and we're a little concerned about... Are they in tournament right now? Are they in tournament right now? Okay, so what's going to give us the vertical distance between the helicopter and the fire? Which equation? Right. And then the horizontal distance would be 91t, right? And then the vertical distance would be negative 16t squared. All right, so we're trying to figure out exactly when the height, as soon as the water is released, right? Like how high is it? Right. Right, and we're trying to figure out exactly what time is it right here. So we're trying to figure out when the height is 0, right? So we're going to set this equal to 0. So if I can figure out the time, then I can figure out when I need to release it. So again, this equation here gives the height of the water, right? He's dropping the water onto the fire, right? So after like 1 second, it might be here. After 2 seconds, it might be here. After 3 seconds, it might be here. So we're trying to figure out when the water hits the ground, the height would be 0, right? Because that's where the fire is, all right? So we're trying to set this equal to 0, and that's going to give me how much time it's going to take for him to drop the water, right? And then this will tell me how many feet away he needs to start dropping it from, all right? So You're all just playing for second, to be honest. Let's be real. All right, so we have, let's use the quadratic formula. So I got negative b, so that's going to give me positive 2, plus or minus b squared, so negative 2 squared, minus 4 times negative 16 times c. Okay, so I got 2 plus or minus 4 plus 4 times 16 is 64. 64 times 500 is 32,000. Okay. Divided by negative 32. So I have 2 plus or minus the square root of 32,004 divided by negative 32. Okay, so what would my two answers be? So you got to do, yeah, right. Now, if you guys do 2 plus the square root of this number and then divide it by negative 32, what is the sign of your answer going to be? So it's 2. If I take the square root of this, right, that's going to give me a positive or a negative. Positive. So I have 2 plus a positive number divided by a negative number. It's going to be negative. So you don't have to worry about doing the negative because time can't be negative. So just do 2 minus the square root of this, because that will give you a negative number divided by another negative number, which will give you a positive. So that would be the time. So what's 2 minus the square root divided by negative 32? So what does that come out to be again? We're just figuring out the time right now. 5.528. Okay, good. So what does that mean, that 5.528? Right, so that's how long it's going to take for the water to hit the ground. So 5.528 seconds to reach the ground. Right, now we need to figure out how far away I need to start releasing the water so that by the time it reaches the ground, it hits right on top of the fire. So you're going to plug in what you got here into here. Right. So 91 times 5.528 would be what? 503. Point what? Okay, so what does that mean? Right. So helicopter should release water about 503.05 feet away from fire. Yes. Well, you should really kind of draw something out. That's helpful, right? And so, yeah, you're trying to first figure out how far away or how long it takes from the water to go from here to here, right? Right. And then the horizontal distance between the water and its point of release. So its point of release and then where the fire is should take 5.528 seconds. So that's going to give you roughly 503 feet away. Yes, Rob. Rob, do you know how to fly a helicopter? Do you know how hard it is to just stop on a dime? It's not like a car. Jeez. To get the horizontal.